In a quiet little village tucked away between rolling hills lived a scruffy little cat. He was so thin you could count his ribs, and his fur was a patchwork of grey and white, always a bit dusty. He didn't have a name, so everyone just called him that stray. He would often linger near the village square, his big green eyes filled with a hopeful hunger. "Shoo! Get away from my stall," the baker would yell, waving his broom. "You'll bring fleas." That mangy thing is back," a woman hanging her laundry would mutter to her neighbor. "It's an eyesore. Why doesn't it just go away?" The neighbor would nod, pulling her own child closer. "Keep away from it, dear. It's probably diseased." The little cat would flinch at their harsh words and dart back into the shadows of the alleyways, his stomach aching with emptiness. All he wanted was a kind touch or a small scrap of food, but all he ever received were glares and angry shouts. He spent his nights curled up in a cold, forgotten corner, dreaming of a warm lap and a full belly. One autumn evening, a crisp wind swept through the village. Inside their cozy homes, families gathered around warm fireplaces, sharing stories and laughter. Suddenly, a panicked shout cut through the night. "Fire! Fire at the miller's house!" Everyone rushed outside. Flames were leaping from the windows of the miller's cottage, painting the dark sky with terrifying shades of orange and red. The villagers formed a line, frantically passing buckets of water from the well. But the fire was too strong, growing with every gust of wind. A heart-wrenching scream pierced the chaos. It was Mrs. Miller. My baby is still inside. In the upstairs bedroom." Panic turned to horror. The front door was engulfed in flames, and the staircase had already collapsed. Thick, black smoke billowed out, making it impossible to see or breathe. "It's too late," someone cried. "No one can get in there now." Mr. Miller was held back by two men as he tried to charge into the inferno, his face a mask of despair. The villagers watched, helpless, their hearts breaking. But amidst the chaos, a small, grey and white figure shot past their feet. It was the stray cat. Before anyone could react, he squeezed through a small gap at the base of the wall, a space no human could ever fit through, and disappeared into the burning house. What was that? The stray. Did you see that? It just ran inside. Is it mad? It'll be burned alive. Inside, the heat was suffocating. Smoke stung the little cat's eyes and lungs, but he pushed forward. He could hear the faint cries of the baby. Following the sound, he navigated through the collapsing structure, his small body agile and quick. He found the nursery, where the baby was wailing in its crib, surrounded by smoke. The cat leaped into the crib and began to nudge the baby's cheek with his head, meowing loudly and insistently. He then gently nipped at the baby's blanket, pulling and tugging with all his might towards the open window. The baby, distracted by the persistent little creature, began to crawl, following the tugging blanket. He pulled and pulled, leading the baby away from the encroaching flames and toward the relative safety of the window, where a sliver of fresh air trickled in. Outside, the villagers stared at the upstairs window. Suddenly they saw movement. First, the small, determined head of the cat appeared, and then the tiny form of the miller's baby crawling into view. A collective gasp went through the crowd. A young man quickly propped a long ladder against the wall and scrambled up, reaching the window just in time to safely carry the baby down. Once on the ground, Mrs. Miller hugged her child, tears of relief streaming down her face. The little cat, covered in soot and singed fur, weakly climbed out onto the windowsill and leaped down, landing softly on the grass before collapsing from exhaustion. The baker, the same man who had shooed him away, rushed forward and gently scooped him up. "He saved the baby," he whispered, his voice filled with awe. The woman who had called him an eyesore brought a saucer of milk and a piece of fish, placing it carefully before him. "You brave, brave little thing," she said, her eyes welling up. From that day on, everything changed. The villagers no longer saw a mangy stray. They saw a hero. They named him Ash for the ashes he had braved. He never went hungry again, and he never slept in a cold alley. Ash had his choice of warm laps and cozy homes. He had shown them that a hero's heart can beat in the smallest of chests, and that true worth is never just skin deep.